Rev up your engines!
Looks like the people who bought electric cars before Trump got in made a smart move because Trump is making an executive order to pause EV subsidy payments. So if you're going to buy a 2025 Model Y Juniper new Tesla, guess what? As it stands now, you're not going to get that tax rebate. Trump says he was going to put an end to EV subsidies, and then he later signed the Unleashing American Energy. And here's the wording, kind of makes sense, to eliminate the electric vehicle mandate and promote true consumer choice, which is essential for economic growth and innovation by removing regulatory barriers to motor vehicle access, by ensuring a level regulatory playing field for consumer choice in vehicles, to end waivers that function to limit sales of gasoline-powered automotives, and by considering the elimination of unfair subsidies and other ill-conceived government-imposed market distortions that favor EVs over other technologies. People don't seem to want to buy them. Now maybe the government won't be pushing this stuff like they've been pushing. If they have a choice to buy it, fine. But you shouldn't be subsidizing one that people don't particularly want to buy. Now, the IRA, which is kind of a joke, Inflation Reduction Act, how did that work out for anyone, you know? I see inflation up the wazoo. I just read a thing the other day about inflation in the United States, and I looked, and they say, oh, it's 2.7%, blah, 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 blah. Then I look at the asterisk, and it says, did not include transportation or food costs. Well, we spend a lot of money on gas, car insurance, tires, and a heck of a lot on food. My wife was in the store the other day. There's only two of us. She said, I used to get the groceries for $200. Now it's $300 for the same groceries. What a bunch of nonsense. It didn't work, and they should appeal that stuff. Obviously, didn't work at all, and then they just hide it. Well, let's not include all these things that are really inflated high. No, we can't include that. Otherwise, inflation will be so high, everyone will be mad, so we'll pretend it isn't. And we think, oh, those people are fools. They don't know. We're not fools. We know what we're paying for groceries and cars. Don't try to pull the wool over our eyes and subsidize electric cars thinking it's going to save the planet. Well, now that Tavares is gone as head of Stellantis, Jeep is bringing back American classics that he can. Jeep is bringing back the Cherokee SUV, and Dodge is bringing back the gas engine version of Chargers. That idiot Tavares, he didn't know anything about the United States, right? Obviously, he didn't know anything about running a company either. He just left. First he said, well, I'll give it a couple years, and then, a few months later, I'm out of here. Bye. Well, he certainly screwed up things for the United States, as they're finding now. Nobody's buying the electric versions that they make. They can't give them away. Nobody wants them. Some of them, they're already discounting $20,000 each because they can't get rid of the electric versions. That's not what people who want a muscle car are going to go out and buy. So they're bringing it back. They're bringing back the Cherokee giant SUV. People want certain things. They should make them. Not be forced to say, well, we got this prerogative. We got to sell these electric cars that nobody wants, so let's make a whole bunch of them. Well, guess what? It's coming back to bite him in the rear end now. Ha ha on old Carlos. Of course, he probably had a golden parachute with him, paid him millions and stuff. I'm sure he's lying in Monte Carlo or something on the beach laughing his rear end off. Now Americans are going back to their business and they're saying, yeah, I guess we ought to make these things. People were buying them. And they're not buying our new electric vehicles at all. Well, now Scout, the old Scout. Well, Volkswagen owns the name. They're going to be making Scout vehicles. And they say they're going to be all electric. But now Scout is realizing maybe that's not going to work out that well. And they said they're going to put range extenders on them. They're going to have a generator system on them so they can extend the range of up to 500 miles. Realize that, of course, electric vehicle range is a lie most of the time. They give you the stop and go traffic where they regenerate power to make it look like they last longer. Well, you get on a highway, there goes your range down the toilet. Now they're planning on putting a gas generator on these things so that when you run out of electricity, you will have gasoline to run a generator. You're still driving on the electric motor, but the generator will charge up the batteries and run the car. You'd have full power, but you'd be running by the generator that's making electricity. Now, if you know anything about generators are relatively inefficient. That's why we don't drive around with cars that have generators that generate electricity to drive the car, because it's another level of inefficiency. If we had to generate our own electricity, it's extremely inefficient. For example, here in Tennessee, we had a tornado last year, but we've got one of these Generac generators. generators, okay? And it ran for a week and a half. But man, did it use a lot of gas. Ours is run by natural gas. It's a very inefficient process. But as an emergency, it would work okay. So the Scout guys are already realizing, we're trying to sell this kind of Jeepy looking thing. What if they're out in the middle of nowhere? Well, we'll put a 10-gallon gas tank in them, and then we can run them that way. So they're already covering their heinies with those Scouts. They haven't made them yet, but they say they're going to put range extenders on them. Well, one woman on the internet got kind of peeved because she took her Toyota 4Runner, nice big vehicle, right? And for an oil change at the Toyota dealer, and they lost her keys. They lost them. So they had to keep her car overnight. You'd think they could have made a key faster than that, you know? And they gave her a Toyota Corolla. So she's going on the internet saying, look, I'm whipping around in my Corolla now. Why? Well, because I went in for an oil change at the Toyota dealer and they lost my keys. You don't have extra keys these days. They didn't even have a key. It's one of those remotes with no key, right? That's what makes it a pain in the butt. But you'd think they could have bent over backwards and made her a key. It's not that hard to do. I'll tell you right now, I have machines that do it. It's a Toyota dealer. They certainly have keys in stock, right? At their dealership. All they wanted to do was get the key, get the computer, plug it in, and reprogram it. It takes like 5 minutes with the stuff that I have. Theirs is probably even faster. But of course, they lost their key, and rather than go and really hustle and make her another one, they said, we're kind of busy today. Here, you can have this Corolla. Come back later when it's fixed. They could have fixed it right on the spot. Shows that these dealerships don't even care anymore. I was at my father's gas station, learned to be a mechanic. We were taught, hey, everything's for the customers. If we were eating lunch and a customer came in, we'd drop our lunch, so what if it got cold, and we deal with the customer. That's how I was trained when I was young. But today it's like, what's convenient for us? Well, it's kind of a hassle for us to get your keys, so take a rental car. We'll get to it later and fix it. I would have been furious if it was me. Well, I would have never taken it to for an oil change anyways. I do it myself. That's why I make these videos. Show people how to fix their own cars so they don't get in a situation like that and get ripped off for every time you take your car in an oil change to a dealer, they try to sell you the kitchen sink. You need a brake job. You need a tune-up. You need a fuel cleaning service. They're always trying to sell you crap, right? So maybe just stay away from them like I suggest. Certainly don't go there for an oil change. Well, Harley-Davidson is showing their complete stupidity about the motorcycle business, and they have yet another electric motorcycle they're bringing out. This is supposed to be their cheaper one. It's called the 2025 Livewire S2 Alpinista. Too many names right away, What is this, Alpinista? Nonsense? Hey, Harley-Davidson's Harley-Davidson. Oh, I drive an Alpinista. What a stupid idea, right? Well, they couldn't sell the live wires for various reasons. Last year, they sold a few hundred worldwide. It's absolutely absurd. Well, now they have this new one, which is a smaller one, which, of course, is exactly one of the dumbest things Harley-Davidson could do, because if you know anything about Harley, over the years, they always made big motorcycles. Then they tried making small ones, and they massively failed. Nobody wanted them. So not only did they make a mistake with their electric Livewire big motorcycle, now they're making a smaller version. And here's how stupid it is. Listen to this. The new models will go 113 miles on a charge in a city and take 2 hours and 20 minutes to charge fully at the fastest. All of them weigh about 430 pounds. Okay, so they're not light because they're electric motorcycles with batteries. But they say it'll go 113 miles in the city. That's stop and go. One, that stinks. It's only 100. Take them on the highway at full speed. They'll probably go like 60 miles. From my experience with electric motorcycles, they lose tons of their charge because electric motors aren't made to run at higher speeds. They're less efficient. They get hotter, and they drain the battery fast. And of course, when you drain an electric battery faster, it doesn't last as long either. I'll give you a perfect example. Last year, I was test driving a Tesla in Rhode Island, and I floored it for a 1/4 of a mile. The range lost 4 miles of range. So that tells you the faster you go, you lose the electricity faster. Well, why anybody would want to buy one of these motorcycles that you get on a highway after 50 miles, it runs out of power, is beyond me. But then they say, okay, but this is their low price one. I'm looking at it right now. The cheapest, lowest price one, $16,000. Well, actually, it's $15,999. Let's call it $16,000. That's not cheap for a motorcycle. You get some great Japanese motorcycles for a lot less than that. right? That have ranges of a lot more than that. And have gasoline that you fill them up in like a minute because they're a motorcycle with hardly any fuel in the tanks to begin with. They're small, right? Harley-Davidson, you people are squirrely. You don't know what you're doing. I guess they'll grasp at any straws now. Let's make it smaller, cheaper when they think that's cheap for an electric motorcycle, you know? You can get Chinese electric motorcycles a heck of a lot cheaper than that have a lot longer range. So here comes another failure from Harley-Davidson, people. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.